Hey guys, know there are a lot of new Palisade owners out there, and I just wanted to jump on here real quick to show you a couple of quick little things that you can do to help customize your vehicle to your liking. Um, Sometimes we can get overwhelmed with technology, and it's always nice to have somebody to help us out in the things that they've learned, just like I've learned from this page. So let's go ahead and get started. So one of the cool things that I like about the Palisade is that you can go ahead and customize the vehicle to the user itself. So you have an option of setting profiles for each user of the vehicle. So my wife's the primary driver, so she's up at the top, I'm secondary. And then of course, if you have anybody who's drives your vehicle, they can use a guest profile. If you don't select one when you get in the vehicle, it's always going to default back to the old one and just go ahead and select it for you. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go into the guest, and we're going to go from there. One of the first things we're going to talk about is Apple CarPlay. I know there's a lot of Android users out there, and I really don't have much experience with Android phones, so I can't speak to that, but I can speak to the Apple CarPlay and Apple phones. This vehicle, so some of you may not see some of the features on your vehicle. Some of you may have more options inside your informatics system. Some of you may have less. This vehicle itself is a SEL with the premium packages. I know that the limited and calligraphy probably have more icons to play with, and the SE may not have as many icons. Just adjust accordingly. This isn't one size fits all. It's just a little quick tutorial. So one of the things that we were going to talk about is the Apple CarPlay. So I like Apple CarPlay. I like the fact that you can have pretty much everything that you use here in order in the way that you want. One of the ways that you can get these in order, because some of your icons may look a little bit different, is by going into your iPhone and then going into settings, and then from there you pull down and type in CarPlay. That'll bring up your CarPlay in the settings, and then you can select your Palisade and you can actually move your icons to the location that they want. And that's why mine may look a little bit different than yours. I try to keep all the ones that I use the most on my homepage, and that way it helps me navigate a little bit easier. The other thing over here is I really don't like the fact that this portion over here takes up so much of my screen. So one of the things that I found is that in setup, if we go to setup and then we go to device connections, now it's going to tell me to unplug my phone, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then we go to Apple CarPlay. If you deselect the use split screen at Apple CarPlay screen, then what you're going to find is that when I plug my phone back in and we go back to Apple CarPlay, whenever it reads it, decides it wants to. Hold on, it wants me to put in my password for some reason. All right, so once we select Apple CarPlay, now it's the full screen. And I like that much better. I like to see everything. I like for when I select Waze, that Waze is on the full screen. And if I want it in a reduced screen, then I can select the little the little icon over there, and it gives me the reduced screen of Waze along with my Pandora or Amazon Music or whatever I'm using at that time. But it's not going to take up it's not going to have that dead space over here and reduce the size of everything right here into that little spot. So I do like that about not using the split screen. We're going to go back out into settings. Now we're going to go into some of the other features. So over here to your right, you have the little start button. If you press and hold the start button, that's going to allow you to customize what you want to use that start button for. So some people may want to use it for passenger talk, to turn on your display, your HD radio data. I like to use it for quiet mode because when my kids fall asleep, I like to you know, kind of have the music back up front and none playing in the back. So that's a really cool feature that I like about this. Your climate controls, I mean, you're gonna have to learn those on your own and how to adjust those, but they're really simple. All you do, if you want a rear climate control, you just press it and then just adjust it accordingly. One of the cool things that you can do though is once you do adjust your rear climate control, if you want it to be the same as your front climate control, so we're gonna do that and then hit auto, which auto is just gonna, once it reaches that temperature back there, it's gonna turn it down. But if you want everything in your vehicle to be the same, if you select the sync button over here, it's gonna sync it to the front. And it's gonna sync everything in the car to be, at least the climate control to be the same. So we're gonna go back into setup, because this is where the majority of your customizations are gonna happen. And then in vehicle, there's really nothing in vehicle that I wanna change. The drive mode alert, I really don't care about that. The climate features, not really worried about that. The seat, a lot of people like to change this right here, so when you get in and out of your vehicle, it'll adjust back, or it won't adjust back. So this, what this is that when you get out of your vehicle, if you don't like the fact that when you turn off your vehicle, it slides back, if you deselect this right here, it'll prevent that from doing that. Conveniences. As you can see, the one thing that I really didn't like is when I turned on the wipers. I forgot about this one. Auto rear wiper. I typically don't use my rear wiper unless it's really dirty back there. But if you turn that on or deselect that or turn it off, then if it's on, it's going to allow, once you turn your windshield wipers on, to turn on with that. If it's off, if you deselect it, then it's not going to come on until you actually adjust it manually. Next thing we're going to go into is displays. And I just have it set to automatic, meaning that once it gets dark enough, it's going to illuminate accordingly. I do have my blue filter adjusted a little bit. It's just whatever your preference is. Screensaver, I really didn't mess with that. I really don't care if my screen's on or off. I don't feel like it's going to burn it up or anything. I've had a Santa Fe 2017 for 5 years, going on 6 now, and I've never done anything to adjust the screen. Home screen, edit icons. This is one of the things that you can do from here, but you can also do from the actual screen. So what this allows you to do, you may have noticed when you looked at my screen, my icons are in a different order. And what this allows you to do is to drag the icons and put them wherever you want them. So if you just touch and hold, just like any other smartphone or something like that, you can drag that icon wherever you want it and drop it wherever you want it. So if I wanted to move this one up front, the media up front, then I can do that. If I wanted to move it back to where it was, I can do that. And you can do that with any of your icons. That's one of the reasons why I have my Apple CarPlay set right here, my quiet mode, my rear climate controls. So if I want to get to them really quick, those are the most common things that I use in this vehicle. Split screen. So what this does is it's going to allow you to select and deselect the little icons or windows that pop up. And it's also going to allow you to adjust how they pop up. So like if you would prefer for your clocks to be first, then you can do that. You can set it so that it's going to be displayed first all the time. If you don't want the clock, you just deselect it. Some of the things you can't deselect, like maps and radio media, other things you can. So, you know, that's just another cool thing that you can adjust. This one right here was it's one of the things that I really didn't like about the vehicle is when I put it in reverse and I would put it in drive, until you reach a certain speed, the rear camera wouldn't disengage, and that really bothered me for some reason. I don't like to see the fact that I'm leaving a few of my kids behind. You know, if I'm putting in a drive, I'm trying to get away from those kids. I don't want to see them running after me. So what I did was, you know, I found out that you can actually deselect that. So by deselecting that, it's just going to turn off your rear camera once you put it in drive immediately, instead of having that delay of getting up to speed. So that's one of the things that I like about that. Sound, you know, sound's always an issue in vehicles. You can tune it to however you want, adjust the bass accordingly. That's how I have my settings. You may like it a little bit different. Of course, we're in quiet mode. I guess I must have engaged it. But anyway, going back to it, you can change your positioning, of course, but quiet mode, like I said, it just pushes it all up front. Driver guidance, you know, these are just some of the other things that you can change in sound mode. One of the things that I initially, when I purchased the vehicle, that I really had an issue with is that I couldn't hear a lot of the navigation sounds and stuff, like the actual navigation for Hyundai's navigation system. And in this one, you can adjust the volumes accordingly. And you can hear. What you'll hear is as I increase it, it'll say driver's guidance will be at this volume.
Guidance will be at this volume. Guidance will be at this volume. Guidance will be at this volume.
So it kind of gives you an idea of where it's going to be at when you adjust those. That also is that's for your alerts and stuff if you're using something else. Voice recognition.
Guidance will be at this volume.
So you get the gist of it. So if you're like me when you purchase the vehicle and you try to navigate, because we purchased out of state, and you try to navigate home and you're like, well, why isn't the navigation actually working? And then you realize, well, it's turned down. It's one of the things that you can go in and change yourself. Also connected devices for your Apple and CarPlay and your Android users, this is going to be the same thing. So like your navigation on your phone, if you don't adjust these settings, they're going to be really low initially unless the dealer was really nice and adjusted them for you. Now it really doesn't give you, it really doesn't tell you like the Hyundai's system did, where it says it's going to be at this volume. But if you set it at the same settings as those are, then you'll be fine. Speed dependent volume control, I never feel like those really work, but you know, if you want, you can adjust those. What else? I think that's all that's in the sound system. Next, we're going to go to device connections. And I know that we touched on this before, but in case there's ever somebody with an Android phone in here, it's because I have my phone plugged in. But in case there's ever somebody with an Android phone here, I have it set to the same thing where they're going to be able to use their full screen instead of having a split screen and stuff like that. Let's see. So this is just going to be where you get some of your information for your card and keyboard options and stuff like that. I have mine set to quarter key. I don't know what the default is. You know, I think I went in and changed that before I got started. So one of the last things that I want to touch on is in setups also. It's in the volumes control, which I really like this. If you're like me and when you go to park, for whatever reason, I think that I can see better if I turn down my radio. I don't know. It's just me. Or maybe it's everybody. But if you go in, and I think if you go to system volumes, driver guidance. So one of the things that you'll find, I don't know if these icons are selected or deselected when you get the vehicle, but if they're not selected, then I kind of like the fact that the music lowers when you put it in reverse, or when the parking assistance comes on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit of music. Hopefully I'm not turned up too loud. And what you'll see is when I put it in reverse, for this right here, it's going to stay the same. It's not going to change anything. But if I select this, then when I put it in reverse, you'll notice that it immediately goes down, which I think is pretty cool, you know, because I want to make sure that I'm paying full attention to things that are behind me when I'm backing up. Also, I think it's in system volumes. So also in system volumes, one of the things that I like is I like the fact that if I'm in the car and I'm driving my wife's car and listening to the music a little loud, I have this selected. So when you start the vehicle, it's going to lower all your volumes and stuff like that. And it's not going to startle anybody. So I think those are some of the last things that I'm actually going to touch on today. If I figure out how to do that rear seat thing, fold the rear seats, I'll let you guys know. I know it's very deep in here somewhere. Just can't really figure it out. Well, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoy it and hope it helps a lot of you new Palisade owners out there.